What is going on, everybody? Back again today to bring you guys a video that I I'm both happy to be making this video and unhappy because this video means the fact that I'm making this video means two things. It means that one, I am now getting something that I really wanted and was not getting before. But it also means too that I have to kind of humble myself and give. It's not hard to do. I mean, as you guys can tell by the title, this is about DC McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse toy line, and it's basically a very positive video about the toy line overall. If you've followed my channel, you know that I've talked a lot of shit on this toy line, and justifiably. It's not so much so that I was wrong; it's more so that I'm not wrong anymore. And in order for me to maintain my integrity and the respect of like nerds all over the planet, the toy collectors all over the planet, I got to show that I can give credit where credit is due. And McFarlane, it deserves some credit. When did I upload the very first McFarlane Sucks video? Or DC Multiverse Sucks video. Let's check it out. Oof, it's been a minute. Man, it's been a long minute. So the first one was 7 months ago. So it was a part one and part two of McFarlane DC Multiverse Sucks. And those are some of the most watched videos on my channel. And now I'm making this video. The line has come a long way, and it's pretty much fixed all the problems that I had with it. And I'm willing to go ahead and say this. It is the definitive DC DC comic book character collectible figure toy line. It's the definitive collectible line of figures for these characters. It is. It has the only thing it was ever lacking was character variety. I never said that the quality of the figures themselves was bad or poor. It was good. They had good articulation. They had good sculpting. They had good paintwork. They had good quality control. It was just the character variety was shit. But over the past 7 months, they have fixed that problem. And we're going to get into it. So I have a little slideshow presentation here. So starting off right off the bat, we're going to talk about some improvements that they have made. On the left here, you have the very first Batgirl figure that was released in Wave 1 back in January of 2020. And then on the right here, you have the new Batgirl from the Three Jokers line, and Wave line, whatever you want to call it. And the Three Jokers Batgirl is by far superior. I have both, and I'm probably looking to sell my Wave 1 Batgirl. One, the build, the body mold. She was too big, too tall, too big. And then on top of that, I just want to say for the figure on the left here, fuck that bat suit. Like seriously, fuck that suit. It's way too much. You know what it is? It's not dark enough, you know? It's just not. And then two, I prefer Batgirl with a cowl. I just do. I don't know why. Probably because like all of my first impressions of Batgirl come from Batman the animated series, and she always wore a full cowl covering her whole top of her head, her forehead, everything. And I like that. And that's to me, that's how Batgirl should be. This bullshit where it's like she's just got some like a fucking bat ear headband in her hair, and then like a bullshit little black rings around her eyes. I don't think it looks good. I've never thought it looked good. And then on top of that, this figure was just way too big. So this is an improvement, and they fixed that. That's one of the problems in the toy line that they fixed. Next up is Red Hood. It's not so much that this was a bad figure. In fact, this one on the left here, the original one, it was a fantastic figure, and a lot of people really loved it. There was nothing wrong with the scale, the sculpt, the detail, the painting, nothing. There was nothing wrong with it at all. This is more of a personal opinion improvement for me. I am not a fan of this version of Red Hood. Like Red Hood, he was an ally of Bruce Wayne, Batman, but then Jason Todd, Red Hood, he died, and when he came back, he was like the Punisher. He had abandoned Bruce Wayne's no killing rule, and he was murdering people left and right, and he didn't care about that anymore. He was totally willing to kill, and this idea that Bruce since then has just forgiven him, and he now wears the bat on his chest in honor of his allegiance to Bruce, but at the same time still carries guns and shoots and kills people. It's like, no, Bruce would still hate you. He would not hate you, but he would still have a problem with you. He would be very pissed off that you're wearing his symbol on your chest, and he would try to hunt you down and put you in jail if you're going around shooting people. So this idea that this version of Red Hood exists, the idea that this version of Red Hood exists but is also an ally of Batman, no. Like, this to me is Red Hood. He is truly a lone wolf. His allegiance is no longer to Batman. He is going to do his own thing, and I loved the dynamic that they had with each other in the Three Jokers storyline. I thought it was great. And this is obviously the Red Hood from the Three Jokers storyline. He's not wearing a bat emblem on his chest. He's not in any way affiliated with Bruce Wayne anymore. You know, if Bruce wants his help, maybe he'll help him out, but he's going to help him out on his own terms. He is his own man. And Bruce, you saw in the Three Jokers, Bruce was very unwilling to like turn him in and arrest him. One, because it would involve all of their identities being exposed if they turned him in, but also simply because the way he is now, the way Jason Todd is now, this murderous vigilante willing to use lethal force, Bruce blames himself for him becoming that. So Bruce doesn't see like it's fair for the Jason Todd to be arrested and incarcerated and punished for something Bruce did to him. So for me, this is a personal opinion, but this figure is an improvement over this one because it's Red Hood. It's not Team Batman Red Hood. It's Red Hood. And then of course, the biggest improvement to the line, in my opinion, is our new just basic Batman comic book figure. This was the initial one released in Wave 1, and it was a bag of ass. It just was. Weird looking long cylindrical legs, very thin, not very muscular, weird torso ab cut crunch articulation here. The belt, I mean, it's still bright yellow over here, but this belt looked like shit. The head was too tiny and it looked like shit. It's like they couldn't decide if they wanted to do an animated series Batman or a comic book Batman, so they tried to go halfway between. This whole thing turned out to be a piece of shit. It was a big bag of ass. And they have redeemed McFarlane Toys has redeemed itself. The Three Jokers Batman is fantastic. I could totally, as much as I've talked shit on him doing variants, if he wanted to do variants of this guy, like a version that had a different belt and the black trunks and a black bat on the chest, I'd be okay with that. Like, but this guy right here, it's awesome. It's an amazing improvement over just an absolute shit figure. And there is no way that this line could ever be the definitive DC toy line without a solid Batman figure. And we did not have one until this guy. This one did not count. It wasn't doing the job. So that's another big flaw, big mistake in the line that they have corrected. And I respect and appreciate that. Moving forward just into new characters, new figures of new characters that we've gotten. Superboy Prime, very interesting, very relevant character, comes into play in Infinite Crisis. Later on down the road, he does appear in Death Metal, Sinestro Corps War. So this guy's really cool, a lot of cool detail, very cool looking costume. Glad to get him. Year 2 Batman. You know, another big complaint of this toy line is how heavy it is on Batman. But for me, it's not necessarily the fact that it's so many different Batmans. It's so many different bullshit versions of Batman that nobody gives a fuck about. Like Todd's personal design for Batman or Hazmat Suit Batman. Like shit like that, nobody cares. Or White Knight Batman. There might be some people out there who liked the original White Knight Batman figure, but all the variants of it that are being made, fuck off. Like no one cares. This guy though, the classic blue, light blue, gray, yellow bat oval Batman. This is the costume, this is the look for Batman that he wore in the comics longer than any other. And for a lot of DC fans out there, this is Batman. So getting this version of Batman is acceptable to me. You know, something like this, where it is a staple in the overall lore of DC, and where, like I said, for so many people this is their Batman, this is their version of Batman. Yeah, I can understand giving people this figure, and the way he did it, where you could remove the arms in this cloth cape and put the big plastic cape on and make it into a really nice display piece. Excellent figure. I'm glad we got this one. Etrigan the Demon. I would have preferred his classic costume, but I mean, This is more of his New 52 Demon Knights comic book run look, and even though it's not his classic look, it is still comic book accurate to that. And it looks good. The detail's good. The painting is good. The quality control is good. And it's a new character. It's Etrigan the Demon. So I'm happy with it. I own it. It's a good figure. I'm glad we got it. And I honestly could see him doing variants of this. I could see him taking this Etrigan figure and giving us a classic version somewhere down the road. But for right now, this thing's just fine. I like it just fine. Armored Batman from Dark Knight Returns. I'm not big on all the Dark Knight Returns figures that have been announced, but I always like to have a Batman figure in my collection that is an armored Batman. Just because when he goes up against some of these more powerful supervillains, you expect like he needs something. So my headcanon for Batman is that like he's got his normal bat suit, right? That he wears around Gotham when he's fighting the Joker or Ra's al Ghul or Bane or whoever. But then when he's doing more Justice League-y type stuff going up against really super powered villains, I like to in my headcanon he has a separate suit for that kind of gives him added durability and stuff like that. It gives him a little bit more leeway in competing with these titanic superpowered beings if he has time to put the suit on and get to it. So even though this is a Dark Knight Returns figure, for me it's an armored Batman figure, and I think armored Batman it's a thing. He has to have this suit for certain occasions. So I'm glad we got this figure. Hal Jordan. It is what it is, I mean, let's be real. Uh, no DC figure collection is going to be complete without Hal Jordan. I don't think he's anyone's favorite Green Lantern anymore, but he is a staple character in the DC lore, and there's no figure collection of DC that's going to be complete without one. We were going to want one eventually, so we got it. And I think he made a smart decision packaging this guy with the evil dark multiverse Green Lantern Batman. That way, you weren't just getting a Hal Jordan figure. You were getting something more if you wanted it. Me personally, I'm gonna sell off the dark multiverse Green Lantern Batman. I forget what he's called, but Dawnbreaker. I'm gonna sell that figure off. I have no interest in keeping it, but I can see why he packaged the two together. Hal Jordan just on his own, packaged by himself. I mean, I would have bought him, but I can't say for sure how many other people would have. I don't think he's anyone's favorite Green Lantern anymore. But I'm glad we got him. He's a core member of DC, the DC character roster, and I'm glad we got him. Dr. Fate. So happy we got this figure. Even though it is a game universe figure, it's from the Injustice game. From Injustice 2 specifically. It can serve as a standard comic book Dr. Fate. It can fill that role on your shelf. I own this figure. I have him displayed with the rest of my comic book just comic book style figures, and he looks just fine displayed with them. I'm totally okay with Todd doing video game figures if they are done in a way that makes them able to kind of be fudged in with the comic book figures and kind of be displayed together. But if they just look night and day different from the comic book figures, that's when I'm kind of going to be like, nah, I'm good. But yeah, there's been a lot of video game figures so far. The Arkham Knight Deathstroke, this Dr. Fate, all really good for a comic book display. They fit in just fine. Could not be happier that we got this Dr. Fate. Let's see here. Shriek. We got Batman Beyond. Haven't seen him yet in this little slideshow, but we did get Batman Beyond. And if we're gonna get a hero character, yeah, I want some villains for that hero character. So getting Shriek was a good decision. We got a masked and unmasked version. For me, I'm gonna go with the masked when I do finally get this guy, just because it's the more complete costume. To me, that's the real villain, is when it's the full costume on. I don't need the unmasked variant. That shit doesn't matter to me. But happy we got this guy. John Stewart. Man, it's like you're talking about Green Lantern characters to make. They could not have made a better decision than to go with John Stewart. That was a strong decision. He's a lot of people's for a lot of people he's their Green Lantern just from the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited cartoons from years back. And then also currently in recent years in the comic books, John Stewart has been the main Green Lantern for the Justice League team. So, yeah, it was a great decision to give us John Stewart. The figure turned out really well, came with a good amount of accessories. Really like this figure. Glad we got John Stewart. And then here he is, Batman Beyond. Great figure. They have two versions of him, one where the nose and lips are sculpted into the mask, and then another version where it's just flat here. Whichever one, the one where it's flat is a little more realistic, but I'm a fan of the animated series, so I went with the one that has the nose and the mouth. The thing about it was these wings, they were not removable on the figure, and in the lore of Batman Beyond, the wings, the red wings, can be like collapsed into the suit or something like that. So they're not just hanging out all the time. So I had to do a little customization and cut these wings off. I can still attach them to his arms on these pegs, but in terms of the overall figure, I went ahead and cut these wings off. The wings should have been removable from the get-go out of the box, but I fixed it. It's a slight issue that I was able to fix on my own. So overall, still really glad we got Batman Beyond. He's a great character. Yeah, couldn't be happier. Swamp Thing. Wow. Very well detailed, very well painted, very well articulated. Probably the best Swamp Thing action figure that we've ever gotten from any DC toy line. I absolutely love it. Can't say enough good things about it. It was a great choice to give us Swamp Thing. Reverse Flash. That was easy enough to do. He just used the same body mold from the Barry Allen Flash, did a repaint of it, and it had to give us a new head sculpt. Other than that, though, it was super easy to do, and I think we all saw this coming from a mile away. We were like, "There's no reason why we shouldn't get a Reverse Flash. It'd be so easy to do," and it was, and he did it, and we got it, and I'm happy about it. I'm really glad we got Reverse Flash. I'm glad we're getting all of these villains because for every hero we get, I also want to get at least one villain for that hero. So that's a great way to improve the character variety of a line is to give us just villains to go with the heroes. Speaking of villains to go with the heroes, we got Lex Luthor, and I'm glad it wasn't some bullshit just like Lex Luthor in a business suit kind of Lex Luthor. No, it's him in his green and purple power armor, which is the way it should be. Lex Luthor is a Superman villain, and other than Superman, he goes up against the Justice League and many other superpowered beings all the time. So, intellect alone is not going to carry him through that. He's going to need something else, and his purple and green power armor suit is that extra thing. So, really glad we got this figure. There was also a variant of it released from, I think, Darkseid War or something. I don't remember, but I had no interest in that variant. This is the classic textbook comic book Lex Luthor, and this is the one I'm glad we got. Blight, another Batman Beyond villain. Same things I said about Shriek apply to this guy. He's a cool villain. Unless I'm mistaken, he is Batman Beyond's arch nemesis, so I'm glad we got him. And yeah, he's a good addition to the collection. Lobo. Yes. That's all I have to say about that. Yes. Great figure. All around, just nothing, no complaints. No complaints with Lobo. He looks great. He's big. He's bulky. He fits in really well with all the other characters. Really glad we got Lobo. And now we're getting into the new stuff that was just very recently announced. And it was when I saw these new announcements, the next four figures we're going to see here, they are what convinced me that, okay, it's time to just give credit where credit is due and acknowledge McFarlane DC Multiverse as the definitive DC toy line that it is. Boom. Martian Manhunter. Excuse me. I already have him pre-ordered. Cannot wait to get him. Yeah, like this one right here, the Martian Manhunter. When I saw that we were getting this Martian Manhunter, that's when for me it clicked in my brain. It was like, I have to make this video. I have to make this video, and I have to not so much apologize, but just admit that they've done it. Like DC Multiverse is going to go the distance. It's improved. It's fixing its problems. It took it way too long to find its footing and get its shit together. But I have to admit, it has gotten its shit together. It has found its footing. And as of right now, we are only one character away from a full Justice League roster, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting her soon. And that figure being Wonder Woman. We do not have a classic, typical comic book Wonder Woman, but I have a strong feeling we're going to get her soon because we already have Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash, Who am I missing? Oh, we're now gonna get Martian Manhunter, and then of course Aquaman. So that's pretty much the key Justice League right there. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash. Depending on which Green Lantern you like for your Justice League, could be different. Could be Hal Jordan, could be John Stewart, who knows? But we've got both already. So we've got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Aquaman. And yeah, this Aquaman's great. It's the classic costume, but he's got the long blonde hair and the beard. It's very modern uh, Aquaman from the more recent Justice League comic book stories. They're trying to go for a kind of what they've got going on with Jason Momoa in the movies. At the end of the Aquaman movie, he had the classic suit on, but he also has long hair and a beard. So he's more blonde in comic book form than he is in the movies. But it's a nice happy medium. Got this guy on pre-order as well. Cannot wait to get him and just be that much closer to completing my Justice League. General Zod. Can't complain. It's not a bad choice. General Zod he's one of Superman's more interesting villains, and and by that I mean it's one of the villains that can like genuinely give Superman a run for his money. He's a cold, calculating, tactical military commander, and he has the same powers as Superman. So it's definitely it's more interesting than watching him fight Toymaker or whatever, Toy Master, Toy Maker, whatever the fuck his name is. So yeah, I'm glad we're getting this Zod figure. I kind of hope that some of this armor is removable. At the very least, I hope that this cape is removable. But if not, oh well, it is what it is. It's still a great looking figure, and I can't wait to own it. And then Black Suit Superman. Probably out of the last these last four figures, this one's probably the most like, who really gives a shit? But the black suit Superman costume, it played a pretty significant role in comic books when he came back from the dead. A lot of people are fans of this suit. They think it looks cool. This is what I'm talking about when you talk about like variants of characters, giving us a different version of Superman or a different version of Batman. This is one that I can understand where it's like, okay, there are a lot of people who are a fan of that suit. There are a lot of people who would be interested in having a figure representation of that Superman in their collection. It's when Todd does shit like his personal designs for the characters. Like he did his personal design for Batman and Wonder Woman, and just nobody could give a fuck. Or when we got Hazmat Batman announced a couple months ago. Like no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit about Hazmat Batman. No one. Fuck off with it. Fuck off with Hazmat Batman and fuck off with your personal designs. But something like this, Black Suit Superman, that's been around since the mid 90s. A lot of people really like the costume. A lot of people like the look. A lot of people are going to want this guy in their collection, myself included. I have him on pre order as well. So, yeah, that's the end of the slideshow. But I did not do a count of how many figures that was, but in the past, that's every figure that we have either gotten or that has been announced in the past 7 months since I made my big fuck DC Multiverse video. And because of everything you just saw, I am now rescinding that. I am 100% behind McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line. I'm happy with it. This is not in any way me saying that I think that like, okay, you guys have done enough to make us happy, you can go back to doing your bullshit now. No, don't go back to doing your bullshit. Keep doing everything that I just spoke positively about. Keep doing more of that. So yeah, I think they've found their footing. I think they're on the right track. I think they've gotten their shit together, and I'm happy with the line. So on that note, I did a video a couple months ago talking about how like, you know, I was collecting Mattel's DC toys, but that line is done and they're really hard to find. And on the flip side though, McFarlane, their character variety is improving at a snail's pace, and I just don't know which line to go with. Should I keep collecting Mattel? Should I abandon Mattel and collect McFarlane? I don't know what to do. I've come to my decision. I am going to go ahead and sell off my Mattel DC figure collection, and I'm going to just commit to the McFarlane DC Multiverse toy line. So stay tuned in the near future. In the next couple of days or so, you're going to see a video come up on my channel that has all of the Mattel figures, Mattel DC figures from DC Universe Classics, DC Unlimited, DC Multiverse, pretty much all of the Mattel DC figures that I have that I'm going to be selling are going to be shown in this video on YouTube, and I am going to sell them through YouTube to try and just find a buyer that much faster. In that video, I will talk about pricing and shipping and all that kind of stuff. And also, just a heads up, there's going to be some custom figures in that video that are pretty cool. So stay tuned for that. Check that video out. If you're still one of those people you want to collect the Mattel figures, I can tell you right now though, I'm not going to sell them individually. They're going to be sold as a big set. So yeah, keep that in mind. But anyway, that's my new take on McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse toy line. I'm happy with it. I'm content. I've accepted it. It's going places. It's found its footing. It's gotten its shit together. It's good to go, in my opinion. So you will not be hearing any more unless he backtracks. Unless he backtracks and starts doing bullshit again, you're not going to hear any more complaining from me about McFarlane DC Multiverse. It has improved, and I'm acknowledging that. So yeah, take that for what it is. That's the video. If you liked it, please hit the like button down below. That really helps out the channel. If you want to help out the channel anymore, please check out some of my other videos, maybe subscribe. Other than that, though, I will see you guys next time.